Let me begin by on a little bit of a not a little bit, a sad note, to talk a little about Robert Newhouse. We have such a memory of him as an outstanding football player for the Cowboys. His involvement, what he represented on the field, his toughness, all of the things that those teams seem to represent, Robert Newhouse was about. We all remember his signature play and that halfback pass, and of course he had that coach sitting there that had thrown the halfback pass himself there for the Cowboys, and Dan Reeves. But the thing that I remember is that Robert was the first former Cowboy that I invited to come in and be a part of our new regime when I bought the team. And Robert served in various capacities for the team and served extremely well. It was very effective. He was very effective with our alumni, but just as effective as he had that respect. He had the respect of the fans. He had the respect of certainly anybody in my organization and the new people on board. He was the real deal. He had done it. He had been there. So he was able to be very, very effective. He was outstanding, and we do miss Robert Newhouse and send our expressions of sympathy to his family.
Jerry, this is the longest stretch in your ownership that this team hasn't made the playoffs. Is it your expectation that this team should make the playoffs this season, or do you believe it needs another year to kind of rebuild and get back to where you want to be?
No, when I look at, we had just had our team meeting a couple of hours ago, and Coach Garrett led our if you will, our goals and led what we're going to be trying to accomplish beginning right today. But when I looked at that room, there are 90 players in there, and I think I counted 47 that hadn't been in the room. And I may have it missed by one or two there that hadn't been in that room, hadn't been in a team room to start a training camp. We've never had more new faces, yet have the optimism that I have for those new faces. Many of them are experienced veterans to some degree. Certainly we've got our share of rookies and rookie free agents, but still, I'm very optimistic that we have a team that can come together. I don't mind telling you this deal they pulled to get out here, and although we're very interested in doing everything proactively we can to avoid early training camp soft tissue injuries, and Jason decided not to have the qualifying running that we've normally done for all the years that I've been involved. And he decided not to do that. They took it upon themselves and decided they wanted to do it with the leadership of the team and the participation of, for the most part, of the team. I like that. I like that kind of attitude about it. I think that's what we've got. They've done some good work up until now. I'm talking about the team, but I'm talking about these guys all these guys that haven't been in a Cowboy meeting room or been on a Cowboy practice field with tags on before. To answer your question, that makes me optimistic about our chances to compete and compete right now. And no, it really is not about next year. We've gone from possibly being one of the older teams to being one of the younger teams, but I think we've got the fundamentals to compete and compete right now. And the decisions we've made are that, as you well know, we've made adjustments that involve cap considerations, involve the available dollars that we have on the cap that have to take into consideration this year and next. But for the most part, we think we've got the young players with the enthusiasm and are positioned in a way that they can be successful to compete right now. I'm particularly encouraged by the guy sitting right next to me. I'm excited. I know where he is. I know where he is with his how he has evolved, if you will. And by the way, I think all of us are going and coming. And so as far as that area is concerned, and so I think I know that he's up from where he's been in the past, and so I'm excited about that coaching staff. I'm excited about their approach to how to take these players and coach them up and coach them within what they can do the best as young players and make us a competitive team.
Sure, you said last year at this event that it was not a quote-unquote Armageddon year for Jason. Going into the last year of his contract now, or what's your view along the lines of making the playoffs with him and his future as the coach?
This is not a make or break. I'm not going to use that word you just used just because I'm superstitious. 3 or 4 things we want to talk about that we talked about last year. Seriously. But I'll be serious with you. No, this is not. In terms of the record of this team, this is not a make or break situation for Jason and members of this staff. We've got a job to do. We obviously want to zero in on what we're doing this afternoon, what we do the next day, and the next day, and the next day. I know firsthand that we've got a relationship, that I have a relationship. There's nobody that has a better fit for me than Jason in terms of the relationship, and we both know where our expectations are and when it's looking good or when it's looking bad. And I don't expect it to be alone.
Jason, in which area do you think you improve most as a head coach that you sit here ready to run your fourth?
Well, hopefully in all areas. It's something that we emphasize with our players is you're always striving for improvement in everything that we do. And we talk a lot about this word process with our football team. It applies to each and every one of us as players and coaches. And so whatever we do, whether we're talking about a team meeting on day one, how we conduct a staff meeting, how we handle a practice, certainly different things we do in terms of game planning and handling different game situations, personnel, whatever those things are, we're always trying to get better. So my answer to you is a broad one, it's a general one. It's hopefully I've gotten better in all areas, and hopefully I'll continue to do that. That's what I emphasize to our staff and to our football team. I have to live that relentless pursuit of excellence and improvement. Yeah, the conditioning test is an age-old issue in the NFL. I think I've been involved on 25 or 26 different teams in the NFL as a player, as a coach, and I've done conditioning tests my whole life, been a part of teams that have done them, whether it's a 12-minute run or a mile run or 16 110s or some version of 40s or 50s or 60s like we've done around here in recent years. And the way they're typically set up is you might be on a plane, you might have a long drive, and you come to training camp on day one and you do this conditioning test. That's what the rules mandate, that's what everybody does. And the next day you're on a practice field getting yourself involved in football movements, very different than what that conditioning test was. And we've always been very mindful of trying to make the conditioning test as close to playing football as possible. But having said that, it's still different. And so we had an outstanding off season. We had near 100% attendance from our entire football team. Of the 100% of the guys who were there, we almost had 100% being there every single day, not missing a single workout. So the foundation has been laid. I expressed this to our leadership group at minicamp, that I was uncomfortable with how training camp starts, to do a conditioning test and then go aggressively into practice in the first couple days. I feel like it's a recipe for disaster. We've had some issues in the past year. I know teams around the league have had that. So I just told our players that we weren't going to do that. Instead, we're going to have a team run. Fly out here on Tuesday, take care of the physicals on Wednesday morning, have a team meeting in the afternoon, come out here for 15, 20, 25 minutes, kick our legs out, do some dynamic warm-up, run some strides, get themselves ready to play football tomorrow.
If that's the case, are you upset that they did this on their own? If that's the case, the fact that they did this on their own could lead to a recipe for disaster with injuries? Did anybody get hurt during the run? Or? Again,
the way that it's set up, the bigger concern is getting off a plane and then coming here on Wednesday and doing a conditioning test, and then within 24 hours you're on the practice field for a walkthrough and then a competitive practice. So, in fact, what you guys will see tomorrow and Friday will be the offense and the defense working separately. the first 2 days of camp. The only time they'll work against each other are in the morning walkthroughs, and the first 8 minutes of the afternoon practice, we'll do a walkthrough type situation against each other. But once the regular practice starts, the individual work, the group work, we will not compete against each other on Thursday and Friday. We'll wait till we put our pads on Saturday to do that. And we just feel like that's the right thing to do, getting guys ready to play football.
Have you ever seen that before, done that before? Did you take this from someone else? The idea of the offense and defense not going against each other the first couple days?
I've been around situations in college football. I think oftentimes they force you to start slowly with different kinds of rules they've had through the years, and on different teams that I've been on. Day one has had different levels of intensity. And the thing I made perfectly clear to our players is it's going to be intense practice. They're going to be stressed. There's going to be pressure on them. They're simply not going to be going against each other. And as much as anything else, to get their football legs and their football feet underneath them to get ready to play football in a competitive environment. Yeah, I think his recovery's been outstanding. He's been very diligent in his rehab, and he's made great strides. And I thought we did a good job as an organization, being disciplined throughout the off season, making what he does in practice fairly consistent, and not allowing him to get into competitive situations. And we worked through that. It gave him another month to stay out of that. He's been working hard on his conditioning, on his throwing, and we do anticipate him being ready to go for all aspects. Like with anyone else coming off of an injury, though, we'll evaluate him on a day-by-day basis and just see how he's doing. Certainly in a situation like this, you want to monitor his throws, you want to make sure his reps are quality reps. He's just not out there banging balls, so to speak. So we want to make sure we're very thoughtful about that, really like we would with any player who's coming off of an injury. And evaluate how he's handling the work and continue to progress with him or dial it back a little bit. But he's had no issues, no obstacles, nothing that's held him back from doing anything. He's certainly on schedule and ready to go. We'll go tomorrow.